The sun was shining softly through the tall glass windows of the restaurant, illuminating polished silverware and sparkling crystal glasses. Conversations blended into a gentle hum, and a quiet elegance floated in the air. But in the middle of that calm setting, something unexpected was unfolding. Something that would test pride, reveal truth, and change several lives in a single afternoon. If you believe in kindness, dignity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Light of Kindness so these stories reach more hearts. The story began with a girl named Mira, a young woman barely in her 20s, who worked as a server in the very restaurant where powerful and wealthy people often dined. Mira wasn't there because she dreamed of serving tables. She was there because life had left her with no choice. Her father, once a craftsman known for carving beautiful wooden pieces, had been injured in a factory accident. The family savings disappeared into hospital bills, and the home that once held laughter and dreams had fallen quiet, heavy with worry. Mira had taken the job to keep the lights on, to pay for her father's medicine, and to ensure her younger brother could stay in school. Each morning she walked to work past flower stalls that lined the old markets of the city. The vendors always called out to her, offering the smallest smile to brighten her spirit. There was one stall in particular that she always stopped by. Not to buy, she couldn't afford that, but to inhale the soft fragrance of roses. The roses reminded her of her mother, who used to place a single flower in a little glass cup at the kitchen window, even when life was difficult. To her mother, a flower was a reminder that beauty could survive hardship. One day, she saved enough to buy a simple woven basket, not new, not strong, but enough. After her shift, she asked the vendor if she could help sell roses after hours, splitting whatever money she made. He agreed, not out of business, but out of kindness. So every day, after working at the restaurant, she carried a basket of fresh roses she could barely afford wholesale, moving from place to place, hoping someone would buy one. Many smiled politely, many ignored her, some laughed, but she continued because every rose sold meant medicine for her father, a school notebook for her brother, a night without hunger. One afternoon the restaurant was particularly busy. The golden chandeliers glowed warmly above, and the polished mirrors made the hall look endless. Important guests had arrived, including a wealthy foreign businessman named Mr. Harlan Devereaux, known for his ruthless deals, sharp words, and an ego that was spoken of long before he arrived. A man who seemed to believe that wealth granted him superiority. Sitting beside him was Khalid al-Zahir, a businessman from the Gulf, a calm man with thoughtful eyes, known for his generosity and quiet respect for others. But Mr. Harlan was frozen. Something flickered in his expression, not anger, not embarrassment, something deeper, something human. His eyes were watery. He whispered, barely audible, "My mother used to say something like that." The room felt suddenly smaller, softer, warmer. Mira didn't speak. She didn't need to. That single rose held between her fingers seemed to carry years of silence, pain, memory. Harlan reached out and took the rose, slowly, carefully, like it was something fragile, something sacred. He opened his mouth to speak, but his voice broke. The powerful man who was feared in boardrooms, who spoke with command and certainty, now stood vulnerable. Khalid placed a hand on his shoulder, not to comfort but to steady. Everyone watched. Harlan looked at Mira. "How much for the basket?" She answered gently. "Only what you feel in your heart is right." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a checkbook, and paused. He didn't write $100,000. He wrote $1 million. The room gasped. Chairs shifted. Forks were set down. But Harlan didn't look proud. He looked humbled. "This isn't for the roses," he said quietly. "It's for the lesson." Mira's hands shook, not because of the money, but because his voice sounded like it carried grief, something she could feel but not see. Khalid spoke softly, directing his words to Harlan. "Wealth is a gift, but the ability to feel is greater." Harlan nodded. In that moment he wasn't a millionaire. He was simply a man remembering love, loss, and the fragility of life. Mira accepted the check, not as charity, but as acknowledgement for her truth, her effort, her heart. She didn't cry. Not there, not in front of everyone. She simply said, "Shka, thank you." Word spread quickly, not about the money, but about the moment. A moment where dignity rose above pride, where kindness broke through arrogance, where a simple rose carried the weight of humanity. Mira used the money to pay for her father's surgery, to ensure her brother's education, and to rebuild the small workshop her father once used, allowing him to return to his passion of carving wood, slowly, carefully, beautifully. The workshop became known as House of the Rose, where every piece carried a small carved rose to symbolize resilience. As for Harlan, he visited often, not with grand gestures, but with quiet presence. He donated to hospitals, he funded scholarships, and most importantly, he learned to speak gently, because sometimes the greatest change begins with something as small as a rose. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Light of Kindness so more people can feel inspired. Before we close, tell in the comments, kindness lives forever. The world needs more reminders like these.